would you stay till the morning light, or would you follow me?
Hi there, it's Jane, and if you like and enjoy watercolor painting or want to try it out, this video is just for you. After 9 long days of studio cleanup, and by the way, thank you for watching my vlogs last week, I wanted to treat you with something educational and enjoyable, something that you could paint along with, and here it is. I will be painting a study of pomegranates and talk about how to create light and shadow in a watercolor painting. Watercolor is quite a unique technique that is very different from others such as oil paintings, acrylics or pastel by not using white paint in a traditional sense to create light. So if we don't use white paint, where do we get the white from? Well, white of the paper is your only source of white and your highlights. You can actually cheat this by combining techniques and using opaque white paint such as gouache or white gel pen on top of your watercolor. Just know that this would be considered a mixed media painting rather than a traditional watercolor painting. Techniques that I will try to present today will focus on preserving the light of the paper the traditional way. Another note is that watercolor actually does have white paint, and you can often find it in many palettes or even as a tube paint, but it's still a quite transparent paint and meant to be used mostly for mixes. So if, let's say, I want to make a color more pastel-like, I would mix in some white, but that would also reduce the color's transparency a little bit and make it more opaque than it would be without the white addition. And so creating light in watercolor painting is mostly just protecting the areas where you want to have your highlights as well as some other lighter parts and not cover them up with paint. The quickest and easiest technique is called lifting. To create a highlight this way, you need to lift part of your paint with a damp brush while it's still wet. It's better to attempt lifting right after you painted your first wash. If you hesitate for too long, pigment will most likely stain the paper, making your lifting attempts unsuccessful. Also, when trying lifting technique at home, you should know that every watercolor paper has different properties that make lifting either easy or nearly impossible sometimes. In my experience, the hot press papers tend to suck in the paint immediately, which makes it very hard to lift, whilst other papers such as, for example, Canson XL, which I'm using for this particular painting, allows you to lift the paint even when it's already dry, because pigment remains sitting on the paper surface. I recommend that you test out your papers before you start painting to avoid surprises. Different paints can also affect lifting. Some pigments stain the paper more than others. There are even types of paint that are highly staining or the opposite. I am using Schmincke watercolors that are not extreme in neither direction and allow me to work in many different techniques. Another technique that I already made a video on is called masking. You will need a masking fluid and probably an old brush to use it. Do what you can to protect your regular brushes from contact with masking fluid. It ruins them immediately. This is a very efficient technique to protect your highlights. Simply paint on top of them with masking fluid and let it dry thoroughly. After that, you can continue painting over the masked areas and later on remove the masking fluid to recover them. You will see this process in a bit after I'm done with the background. The only downside of this technique is the extra time you need to mask the areas and also the waiting for it to dry time. Masking also leaves very hard edges that can look messy or too rough sometimes. I personally like to smoothen them a bit with a damp brush after I remove the masking fluid. In contrast, the lifting technique we mentioned earlier usually results in a very gradual and soft transition between lights and darks. Similar result to masking can be achieved by simply bypassing or skipping these highlighted areas with your brush. If you are a beginner and not used to your brush yet, you will most likely prefer masking over this, but if you have been painting for a while, chances are your hand already developed brush control that will allow you to bypass most of the areas in your painting without covering them up with paint. This saves you a lot of time and tool switching, but there is always a chance for accidental mistakes. However, I noticed in my watercolor class that beginners tend to mask even areas that are quite large and really easy to avoid when painting. So I feel the need to mention that overusing your masking fluid also runs risk of damaging your watercolor paper. So I would just keep it for little details and tiny spots that are too hard to bypass. You can see me now carefully bypassing larger light areas and painting only the darker parts of the pomegranate. I do this with a thinner brush to have better control over my shapes. This particular wash is painted over the tiny masked areas that represent highlights on the individual grains. And these highlights are the only thing in a true need of being masked in this particular painting. And the last technique I want to mention is layering. It's the safest technique I know to achieve detail and avoid mistakes, but requires a lot of patience and practice. It's also quite time-consuming, at least in terms of watercolor, considering this is a rather quick medium compared to others. The idea of layering is to create your midtones and dark tones, gradually placing one layer of transparent paint on top of another, slowly darkening the places that you want to deepen. You can really achieve depth and make your subjects believable by using this technique. Just make sure that you use 100% cotton paper that can take in as many layers of paint as you wish. Student-grade papers made from less resilient cellulose will take up to 3 layers, and then the fibers will just break down. For this pomegranate study, I used the Canson XL watercolor paper made from cellulose, which means this was the student-grade paper that did not allow me to create as many layers as I would normally do when painting a portrait, but it was sufficient enough, those 2 or 3 layers of paint I was able to put down. And the big plus of this particular paper was that it did allow me to lift the paint even after it was dry, so you will see me creating some additional highlights this way. Alright, so those are the 4 techniques that you can use in your watercolor painting to preserve light, and I use them all in this pomegranate study. Sometimes it's great to paint something simple and relaxing, such as fruit, for example. By the way, if you want to read about these techniques in more detail, I wrote an article in my DeviantArt journal last year, and I will link that below. I am also making a post on my Patreon with step-by-step pictures of the whole process. I will link that below as well. You don't have to be a patron to access it. And by the way, thank you patrons for your kind support, and I appreciate it more than ever these days. Hope you find the video helpful. If you do try any of the techniques, please let me know in the comments. If you have a recommendation for a watercolor paper that you enjoy using, it would be great help if you posted that in the comments as well. Give the video a thumbs up, and on Sunday I have a new one for you, this time about preserving and mounting your watercolor artworks. So if you are new here, consider subscribing and also turn on your notifications so you don't miss the future updates. I am really looking forward to see you all again on Sunday, so have fun and bye bye!